The Cleveland Browns, you have to give it up. Again, what they did in this draft to go from 6 down to 9, and they still took the guy they would have taken at 6 in Spencer Fano. They cash in their first-round selection they got from Jacksonville for Casey Concepcion, and then the second round they get Denzel Boston. They got 2 wide receivers who are terrific.
While everyone else is busy grading picks and arguing over who reached and who didn't, the Cleveland Browns just pulled off something that feels way bigger than a good draft night. And if you've been paying attention, this isn't even new anymore. This is becoming their identity, and that's exactly where it starts to feel uncomfortable for the rest of the league. Now, let's connect the dots properly, because this is where most people get lost. Around the league, teams made moves that look good on the surface. The Cincinnati Bengals go and grab a dominant defensive presence early, something that immediately gets fans excited. The Los Angeles Rams take a corner like Trent McDuffie, and people start imagining short fields for Matthew Stafford, early leads, momentum. The Baltimore Ravens load up with multiple day 3 picks like they always do, playing the volume game. All solid strategies, all understandable. But Cleveland wasn't just drafting players, they were controlling outcomes.
Absolutely.
Everybody who thinks they blew it in the first round, they used the 29th overall pick on Trent McDuffie and signed him. And if Stafford comes out and has short fields due to McDuffie, or is already up 7-0 because of McDuffie, then point to that and say, oh, the Rams didn't get him any help, huh?
This is where it gets dangerous. The Browns start at pick 6, and instead of locking themselves into a move, they step back to 9. And here's the crazy part. They still land the exact guy they would have taken at 6 anyway. That's not luck, that's preparation. That's knowing your board so well that you can manipulate the draft instead of reacting to it. And when you can move down, gain extra value, and still get your guy, that's when you know something bigger is happening. And this connects directly to the bigger topic, because how the Cleveland Browns aced the NFL draft again isn't about one night. It's about a pattern. You look at what they did last year, and suddenly this year makes even more sense. People were upset when they traded out of a top spot. Fans were saying, you could have had Travis Hunter. That name kept coming up. But Cleveland didn't just walk away from that opportunity. They flipped it. They stretched it across drafts. And now you're seeing the return come together piece by piece. Here's the part nobody is talking about. They didn't just replace one pick. They multiplied it. They turned it into multiple contributors, multiple chances, multiple wins across the roster. And that's something most teams fail to do, because it's easy to make one pick. It's hard to turn one decision into 5 different advantages.
And the Jaguars, with some picks they got in last year's draft trade to move down from Cleveland to move up, Cleveland flipped Jacksonville some picks even in this trade. They did get what appears to be their new starting running back, because Travis Etienne is now in New Orleans. Bashal Turn in the second round with another second-round choice. And he was sitting on Daniel Jeremiah's best available draft board for about an hour. They snagged him at 58. He was up there at 15 on DJ's draft board.
This is where young players usually make a mistake. They think the draft is about the moment, the name getting called, the crowd reaction, the grade the next morning. But Cleveland is showing it's about the timeline. It's about stacking decisions until they start feeding into each other. And suddenly, what looked like a questionable move a year ago turns into a clear win today. Now, let's talk about what they actually added, because this is where the script flips from smart to scary. They bring in wide receiver help. Not just one guy, but 2. That's immediate offensive support. That's giving whoever lines up at quarterback real weapons. Then they reinforce the offensive line, again, which tells you they understand where games are really won, not in highlight plays, but in protection, consistency, and control.
In the second round with another second-round choice, and he was sitting on Daniel Jeremiah's best available draft board for about an hour. They snagged him at 58. He was up there at 15 on DJ's draft board.
And then comes the second round, and this is where it starts to feel unfair. They grab a player who was sitting high on major draft boards, someone who had no business being available that late, and Cleveland just waits and takes him. That's not just a good pick, that's value extraction at its best. That's patience paying off in real time.
This is where it gets dangerous, because when you combine smart trades, strong positional picks, and steals in later rounds, you're not just building a team, you're building depth. And depth is what separates good teams from playoff teams, because over a long season, injuries happen, slumps happen. And if you you've built your roster right, you survive those moments instead of collapsing. And let's connect this back again to the topic, because this is exactly how the Cleveland Browns aced the NFL draft again. Not by chasing headlines, but by controlling the process, by understanding value, by thinking 2 steps ahead. Here's the part nobody is talking about. They also set themselves up for the future. Extra picks, extra flexibility. And in today's NFL, flexibility is everything, because things change fast. Contracts shift, players get hurt, situations evolve, and the teams that can adapt are the ones that stay competitive. Now, we can't ignore the quarterback situation, because that's where people start getting uncomfortable. You've got Deshaun Watson still in the picture, you've got new names entering the conversation, and yeah, it looks messy. It doesn't look clean, but maybe that's intentional. This is where young players usually make a mistake. They think everything has to be perfectly clear from the start, but sometimes competition is the plan. Sometimes you create multiple paths and let the best one emerge. And if the rest of your roster is strong enough, you don't need perfection right away. You just need progress. This is where it gets dangerous, because if Cleveland figures out the quarterback situation even slightly, everything else is already in place. The receivers are there, the line is improving, the defense has depth, and suddenly, this isn't just a team that had a good draft. This is a team that's ready to compete. And now we zoom out, because this is where the legacy angle comes in. If the Browns hit on these picks, if these players develop the way they're expected to, then you're not just talking about one successful draft, you're talking about a front office that understands how to build over time. You're talking about a system, and systems are dangerous because they don't rely on one star. They rely on structure, on consistency, on repeatable success. And once a team figures that out, they don't just get good, they stay good. Here's the part nobody is talking about. Cleveland might have just changed how people evaluate drafts, because instead of asking who did you pick, the real question becomes what did you turn that pick into over time? So now we get to the real debate, and this is where I want you to think about it differently. Did the Browns just have a great draft, or are they quietly building one of the smartest long-term strategies in the league right now? Because if it's the second one, then this isn't just about Cleveland anymore. This is about the rest of the NFL trying to catch up, and that's where it gets really interesting.